It's Tuesday, April 19. In the headlines, Rwanda's president calls for more direct ties between Africa and the Caribbean. Population census starts in September. Regionally, Guyana receives 6 investment proposals for oil refineries. And in sports, Jamaica dominates at Carifta Games 2022. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I am Simone Absalom Gale. It's time for the Caribbean and Africa to forge more direct ties. That was the essence of President of Rwanda, His Excellency Paul Kagame's address at a joint sitting of the Jamaican Parliament in Gordon House last Thursday. President Kagame says Jamaica and Rwanda shares common traits.
We are not strangers to one another. In our diversity, we share common traits. Our peoples are resilient, creative, and, as our common history shows, also indestructible.
He says it's time for Africa and the Caribbean to work together in a direct and sustainable manner,
both through our representative regional organizations, CARICOM and the African Union, and bilaterally. The first Africa CARICOM summit last September was long overdue and must be built upon.
He thanked Jamaica for its support of Rwanda as the newest member of the Commonwealth. The country is set to host the next Heads of State meeting in June.
We hope to see strong representation from the Commonwealth Caribbean.
In his address, Prime Minister Andrew Holness congratulated Rwanda for many milestones in the last 28 years. He says there is much to be shared between Jamaica and Rwanda.
Through our exchanges, we will have the opportunity to take forward technical cooperation in several fields, including culture, ICT, health, tourism, and sport. We're looking forward to advancing our economic relations through increased trade and investment prospects.
He describes Rwanda as a powerhouse of socioeconomic development.
Like Jamaica, has a level of influence and impact which far surpasses its geographical size. Rwanda has overcome unimaginable challenges, and it now embraces its rightful place in regional and global leadership.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness says there are many critical areas of mutual interest shared between Jamaica and Rwanda. Mr. Holness made the remark at a virtual press brief, wrapping up the 3-day work visit by President of Rwanda, Paul Kagame. Here's more in this report.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness says these discussions allowed the two countries to be brought closer by exploring avenues to expand economic and technical cooperation, and more must be done to yield concrete benefits.
We spoke of the potential for investments in agriculture, special economic zones, manufacturing, and logistics, to name just a few areas. There have been additional commitments to further explore cooperation in culture, health, youth engagement, energy, cyber, and tourism.
This as the President of Rwanda spent 3 days on the island for his official state visit. The Prime Minister says the two governments signed 2 bilateral memoranda of understanding aimed at formalizing joint activities which will lay the groundwork for deeper engagement.
We signed a memorandum of understanding on political consultations, which creates a formal structure for bilateral discussions and explores the potential for future collaboration. As we continue to engage, we now have a framework within which our substantive mechanisms can be implemented. We also signed a memorandum of understanding on tourism development and promotion, which will enable our countries to share best practices and experiences, as well as to facilitate cooperation in related areas of mutual benefit. Community and rural tourism, as well as ecotourism, are but a few of the areas expected to see significant development. There is also scope to learn from our Rwandan friends how we can further attract visitors by marketing our country as an ideal place for hosting meetings, conferences, and other high-level engagements.
Mr. Holness says establishing and deepening strong fraternal connections with countries of the African continent has been a strategic area of focus for Jamaica's diplomatic engagement. Prime Minister Holness explains that he and President Kagame exchanged views on the CARICOM-Africa relationship.
This is a vehicle for greater collaboration, even as we anticipate the end of the 2015-2024 International Decade for People of African Descent, being celebrated under the theme Recognition, Justice, and Development, and building on the first CARICOM AU Summit held in September 2021.
Also speaking at the press briefing, President Kagame disclosed that it was time for the countries to learn from each other coming out of the pandemic and work together for the betterment of our people. He noted that countries such as Jamaica and Rwanda can work closer on the world stage.
To advocate for policies of particular relevance to our people, and climate change mitigation is a notable example. The wheel does not need to be reinvented, Mr. Prime Minister. We are already members of key international organizations such as the Commonwealth and the Organization of African, Caribbean, and Pacific States, and we can leverage these platforms for mutual benefit. When the will to work together is strong, even distance cannot separate us or slow us down.
Jamaica's 15th National Population and Housing Census will begin in September. Director General at the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Carol Coy, disclosed this while addressing Thursday's monthly meeting of the St. Elizabeth Municipal Corporation in Black River. She says Census Day is September 12, and this is the reference point for the census, so they'll start to collect data on September 13. Ms. Coy explains that each individual in the household will get a questionnaire to complete where they will detail age, sex, ethnic origin, marital status, education, physical and mental limitations, training, economic background, fertility, and transportation, among other requirements. Ms. Coy says each person's personal information will be kept confidential under the Official Secrets Act. Jamaica's Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA, is being redeveloped and rebranded to better serve the expanding farming community. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, Dermon Spence, says Cabinet has approved $23 million to engage consultancy for the restructuring process to commence in this fiscal year. Mr. Spence says the use of technology will be a focus of the redevelopment, explaining that farmers are, quote, at the point where they too are learning on their own and adapting as they go ahead. So we need to take a look at RADA to ensure that we improve to satisfy the current requirements that is facing us, end quote. He notes that the restructuring will see more specialists within the agency due to the diversification of crop production that is taking place in agriculture. You should know that RADA was established under the Rural Agricultural Development Authority Act of 1990, replacing the Land Authorities Act, and began its operation in August 1990. It is Jamaica's chief agricultural extension and rural development agency. Jury trials are set to resume in the circuit courts on April 2022. The Court Administration Division says the resumption coincides with the reduction in COVID-19 cases and the revocation of the Disaster Risk Management Act. Jury trials were put on hold in the last 2 years due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Court Administration Division's Kadish Fletcher says the participation of jurors is critical to ensure that matters are disposed of in a timely manner. She notes that despite the lifting of the containment measures, jurors are encouraged to wear masks for court. Anyone between the ages of 18 and 70 with a tax registration number or anyone who is registered to vote in Jamaica can be summoned for jury duty. Failure to show up for jury duty can result in a fine not exceeding $10,000. Time now for your usual market updates in the Business Report with Danita Rodney.
In foreign exchange trading for Thursday, April 14, the US dollar sold for an average of $155.42. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $125. The pound sterling traded for $204.68, and the euro sold for an average of $172.01. The following reflects the movement of the JSE indices in Thursday's trading session. The JSE index declined by 1,195 points to close at over 300,000 units. The junior market index advanced by 20 points to close at over 4,000 units. The combined market index declined by 933 points to close at over 400,000 units, and the All-Jamaican Composite Index declined by 953 points to close at over 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 110 stocks, of which 43 advanced, 51 declined, and 16 traded firm. Stocks advanced for Access Financial Services Limited, AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, and Blue Power Group Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Barritas Investments Limited, and 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited Verba Preference. Trading firm were 1834 Investments Limited, CAC 2000 9.5% cumulative redeemable preference shares, and Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited. Jamaica Stock Exchange was the volume leader with over 48 million units, followed by Jamaican Steels Limited with over 34 million units, and Edifocal Limited with over 12 million units. In regional stocks on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, Clico Investment Fund was the sole security trading over 7,000 shares. The Barbados Stock Exchange saw 0 securities trading on Thursday. According to Canada's Minister of International Trade, Minister Mary Ng, two-way merchandise trade between Guyana and Canada amounted to over 200 million Canadian dollars last year. Minister Ng was in Guyana primarily to launch a 3-day trade mission with the aim of expanding business relations. Kirth Campbell has the details.
Canada's Minister of International Trade, Mary Ang, spoke to the newsroom from the Canadian High Commissioner's residence in Georgetown on Tuesday, moments after signing a Memorandum of Understanding with Guyana government, which will pave the way for greater economic cooperation and commercial relations between the two nations. The Canadian High Commission in Georgetown on Thursday offered details on the trade figures released by the Minister of International Trade during that interview. It details that imports from Canada to Guyana totaled $38.6 million Canadian dollars, an increase of 31.1% from 2020. Exports were led by consumer goods, which accounted for 24.7% of exports to Guyana. Exports from Guyana to Canada reached Canadian $199.6 million, a decrease of 52.2% from 2020. Imports were led by metal ores and non-metallic minerals, which accounted for 70% of imports from Guyana. Guyana Goldfields and Sandspring Resources are two Canadian-listed companies with advanced stage gold projects here. Canada says the main exports from Guyana to Canada included consumer goods, industrial machinery, equipment and parts, farm fishing and intermediate food products, forestry products, building and packaging materials, along with metal and non-metallic mineral products. On the flip side, exports from Guyana to Canada were metal ores and non-metallic minerals, metal and non-metallic mineral products, consumer goods, farm fishing and intermediate food products, along with forestry products and building and packaging materials. Canada has a large presence in extractive sector in Guyana, a reality that Minister Ang acknowledged.
Well, Canada has strengthened the mining industry as well, and I know that they have a real presence here in Guyana.
She said that monies are set aside in Canada's 2022 federal budget for significant investment in critical minerals, which will help countries like Guyana to take advantage of Canada's expertise.
The expertise, the technology, the innovation that is coming with also greening those particular industries. So I think that there are opportunities, and our job as government, as I was, in my meeting with President Ali today, we really talked about the opportunities for us to create the right conditions for our businesses and investors to be in each other's markets.
The hybrid trade mission wraps up today, where some 170 Canadian companies and investors are scoping out investment opportunities and are looking to expand their operations to Guyana and the wider Caribbean. There are an estimated 200,000 Guyanese living in Canada. For the newsroom, Kurt Campbell.
In market data for oil prices slipped this morning as investors weighed demand concerns against tight global supplies and as factories in Shanghai prepare to reopen following a COVID-19 shutdown. Brent crude was down $1.41 or 1.2% to $111.75 a barrel, and West Texas Intermediate crude fell $1.64 or 1.5% to $106.57 a barrel. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In news across the region, as part of planned developments for Region 6 in Guyana, President Dr. Irfan Ali has announced that the government has received 6 investment proposals for the establishment of oil refineries. Newsroom Guyana has the details.
We have more than 6 proposals for refinery, small refinery, here in Region 6. We have exploration going on that can catalyze the growth here. But whilst all of this is going on, we have some naysayers. Can you imagine? We have people who are trying to stop this development.
That was President Dr. Irfan Ali, who was engaging residents of Region 6 during a recent outreach activity held in the region. Though the Irfan Ali-led government supports a privately developed oil refinery, the president also talked up the integration of oil and gas developments in the wider development of the region and country at large. Already with the possibility of refineries and new deep-water ports, he announced that the Guyana National Training Center would also be established in the region to train Guyanese in the technical competencies needed for their participation in the oil and gas sector. And the possibility of at least one local oil refinery has found favor with private sector bodies. In fact, President of the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry, GCCI, Timothy Tucker, says that the body has supported the establishment of a modular oil refinery since 2017. This oil refinery essentially is a simplified factory that enables the simple distillation of crude oil into usable products like diesel, kerosene, and residual fuel oil.
If you were able to have a refinery locally, you'd be able to fill your demand in the local market. You can be able to control the prices a little better than it is. And of course, there's so many byproducts of a refinery that can be done. Our crude is light sweet crude. It's going to be easier to refine. But of course, we can't just run out there and and have a refinery because, of course, there's a cost to it. Then, of course, like many countries around the world who went out and built big refineries, find that they don't have the supply. But the fact is that we're part of CARICOM. We can supply the Caribbean market.
Tucker also noted that with the investment in such large-scale infrastructure, the availability of oil to be refined should be considered. Guyana's prolific Stabroek Block alone, however, has about 10 billion oil-equivalent barrels. Meanwhile, economist Richard Rambran also believes that the establishment of an oil refinery, which will be able to supply fuel directly to consumers, is one mechanism of helping locals feel the benefits of the oil and gas developments. Reporting for the newsroom, I am Prashani Raghaver.
The COVID-19 Omicron subvariant BA.2 is in Barbados. The confirmation of the highly transmissible subvariant was made by Health and Wellness Minister Ian Gooding-Edgehill. The minister says government has been preparing for this moment and reminded the public there will be no tightening of protocols at this time. Barbados Today has the details.
It's confirmed the highly contagious Omicron BA.2 subvariant of the COVID-19 virus is in Barbados. Health and Wellness Minister Ian Gooding-Edgehill made the disclosure tonight as he reported on the results of tests conducted.
Based on the results of samples sent to the Carifta lab in Trinidad for analysis, I am now confirming that the BA.2 subvariant of COVID does exist in Barbados. In fact, 90% of the samples sent to Carifta were found to be positive for this Omicron variant, which is highly contagious, but which does not generally lead to serious illness.
The health minister said that since March 28, the island has recorded 5,104 new infections, and according to the latest data, 428 new cases were recorded on Wednesday, resulting in a record high positivity rate of 28%. Gooding-Edgehill said there will be no change in protocols, but he urged Barbadians to exercise their caution.
As we head into our long Easter weekend, I once again advise that the tightening of any of the protocols is not being considered. But at the same time, I am sure that Barbadians as a whole will practice restraint, discipline, and moderation with their social activities and interactions over the next few days.
In the Bahamas, despite there being mixed feelings, residents are excited about the resumption of the national regatta. While some have expressed concerns over the relaxed COVID-19 protocols, others think it will be fine. Bethany McDermott reports.
Days ahead of the first Family Island regatta since the start of COVID-19, one Exuma resident is expressing concern over safety protocols. Straw vendor Princess McKinsey says she's hoping COVID-19 protocols are followed as we are still in the COVID-19 era.
But I just pray that they don't, overdo it because COVID is still, I hope people wear their masks. I'm going to wear mine for sure.
The Bahamas has recorded more than 33,000 COVID-19 cases and 789 deaths. Exuma has recorded 558 cases. Neil Musgrove of Sky Juice King is also weighing in. He says everything should be controlled once everyone follows the protocols.
I don't think it will be a problem, because once everybody do the thing, and they wear the mask, and, you get your drink, your food, you leave, go there, and once everybody does. I think it's going to be under control. Well, I just want to say that everybody, there's nothing to be afraid about. Come out, love yourself, come get your drinks, your native food, do what you got to do. Just love yourself.
Despite the concern, locals are in high gear preparing for the event. This week, officials from the Ministry of Agriculture and Family Island Affairs revealed that $220,000 will be spent on the Exuma Regatta. The regatta is slated for April 21st to the 23rd. National Family Island Regatta Committee Chair Danny Strawn says the onshore activities will be supplemented by Bahamian entertainers. However, onlookers can still look forward to the traditional sailing races each day. Minister responsible Clay Sweeting says the event will create numerous opportunities for Family Islanders and is the birth of many businesses.
We recognize how vital it is to the Bahamian economy and its role in producing jobs for generations of Bahamians yet unborn. Ladies and gentlemen, as a minister from the Family Islands, I am indeed excited about the future for our festivals, homecomings, and regattas. There is no nation in the world more suitable for sailing, competitions, and these marvelous events.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
In Trinidad and Tobago, the Central Statistical Office has given credence to allegations of continued price increases in grocery bills. More from TTT Live.
The Central Statistical Office has given further credence to citizens' claims that their grocery bill continues to go up. The CSO has released its Index of Retail Prices for the month of February 2022, and the Index for Food and Non-Alcoholic Beverages has shown an increase from 128.1 in January 2022 to 129.6 in February 2022, an increase of 1.2%. The CSO said the general upward movement in the prices of chicken, white flour, snacks, parboiled rice, carrots, cricks, full cream milk, and Milo contributed to this increase. However, it noted that the full impact of these rising prices was offset by the general decrease in the prices of tomatoes, pumpkin, hot peppers, chives, full cream powdered milk, potatoes, celery, green sweet pepper, mixed fresh seasoning, and sweet potatoes. According to the CSO, there was an increase in the price of alcoholic beverages and tobacco of 0.7% in February 2022 compared with January 2022. It also noted that the inflation rate was up 0.2% when compared to the same period last year.
In sports, Jamaica ensured that the return of the Carifta Games ended with broken records, impressive performances, and no changes to their dominance in the regional event for junior athletes. Monday's final day ended with a total medal count of 92, which included 45 gold and 29 silver and 18 bronze. The Bahamas were next with 17 medals, 4 gold, 6 silver, and 7 bronze. The British Virgin Islands placed third on the medal table with 4 gold, 2 silver, and 1 bronze. And they were followed by Trinidad and Tobago with 2 gold, 10 silver, and 11 bronze. And Guyana with 2 gold, 3 silver, and 2 bronze. Jamaica's Deandra Shaw continued her record-breaking form, setting a new mark of 45.32 meters to capture the under-17 girls discus title. This throw erased the 10-year-old record set by Jamaica's Pauline Gale of 43.99 meters. Jamaica also swept the 4x400 meters relay finals to close the final night. In the under-20 girls 4x100 meters, Jamaica secured a gold medal and set a new world record under 20 of 42.58 seconds, with Barbados taking silver.
Serena Cole places out on the blocks for the Jamaicans. Already closes down on Bermuda. The Jamaicans are flying with Tina Clayton, the 100 champion, the world under 20 champion. Destroys the field on the back stretch. She will hand over to Brianna Liston. Liston running a super curve for the Jamaicans. The rest of the field out of shot. Can they execute the final change? Tia Clayton has the baton, and she is surging down the home stretch. The world record is under threat. Tia Clayton is flying, and Jamaica will break the world record. 42.58 world under 20 record.
The Jamaica Olympic Association welcomed the 16th official Queen's Baton as the region gets ready for this year's staging of the Commonwealth Games to be held in Birmingham, United Kingdom. The baton arrived on the island on April 15 as part of the journey through 72 Commonwealth nations and territories. The Commonwealth Games are set for July 2022. Jamaica is the 51st stop since the day it started on October 7, 2021, which carries Her Majesty the Queen's message to the Commonwealth inside the baton. It arrived from the Cayman Islands and is currently in Trinidad and Tobago. It will then make its way to Barbados and then to Montserrat. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith said Jamaicans in the diaspora and otherwise are looking forward to the great achievements of the country's athletes throughout the Games. And with that, we call an end to today's newscast. On behalf of our entire news production team, thank you very much for watching.